Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop. So this is kind of an in-depth, more in-depth than I thought it'd be, review of The Last of Us Season 1, or as I'm calling it now, The Last of Us, the only season that's going to be in any way watchable, right? So, because I don't think Season 2 is going to be very good, because I think they're very belligerently going in the direction of the second game, which was pretty darn horrible. Like, they killed off Joel in the first minute or so, apparently. I didn't buy it, I didn't play it. I'm not interested in it, right? Here's a weird thing about The Last of Us, and you see me, like, scrabbling trying to quantify this in the review. The review comes from my live stream I did last night on Sunday, March 19th. I'm recording this on Monday the 20th. I don't know when this is going out. I think relatively soon, right? Relatively soon. But you see me struggling because there are, like, really incredibly brilliant parts of this. I love episode 3, the super gay one with Nick Hoffman. I think that was just a standout performance in a standout episode. One of the best hours of TV I've seen in a long time. I thought that was really genuinely great. To Mediocre, which was most of the rest of it, to cringingly woke. I'm going to define that in a second. Which I think episode 7, the Ellie's lesbian awakening. I just found that cringingly woke. Now, we have to define what woke is. I was saying it was the use of platforming. I say it was platforming ideology on a franchise with an existent strong fan base, which this is, right? But it doesn't really get to the nub of what it is, and it really, I mean, that's just like, you know, a practical example, but it doesn't really get to the nub of what it is. I heard this definition on Tim Pool's channel, and boy, did it nail it. It's a mindless adherence to social media algorithms' opinions on what is moral and what is not moral in the current day. I'm going to say that definition a lot of times through this review, because here's the weird thing. There's a lot of wokeness in it. Normally when you put wokeness into anything, it makes the quality tumble. And it does, right? But at the same time, there's a lot of quality in this as well. Like, I think the underlying story of The Last of Us, it is just so good. It shines through that wokeness, I think. That's my opinion. Look, if you completely disagree with me, let me know. Put your comments in the comments. That's a pretty good idea. Especially on Rumble, right? I'm really trying to build up my Rumble channel. My live streams on Rumble do very well. Much better than they do on YouTube. So I would very much like Rumble to be my main channel. So head over to Rumble. Subscribe to me there. I might start doing exclusives on Rumble. I don't know. Like, share, subscribe, comment, wherever the hell you are. That's very good. Like, share, subscribe, comment. As I said, definitely head over to Rumble, subscribe over there. If you have any questions or points of disagreement, let me know. I really don't mind you disagreeing with me, and I'm happy to have a conversation with anyone, really, about pretty much anything, quite frankly. Yeah, so as I said, like, share, subscribe, comment. Look in the video notes, you'll find my Substack. That's my email newsletter. What else is there? My links to Instagram, Twitter, Rumble, obviously. I guess YouTube as well. Just sign up to it. Follow me and everything, right? How to make your life much better in any given situation. Follow me and everything. That you know. Look, I'm just trying to make your life better, mate. I'm just trying to help. That's me for you. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Fine. Now let me hand over. Again, this goes on a lot longer than I thought it would, because there's a lot to talk about it. But let's hand over to me from last night. This is an interesting thing to review, because sadly it's made in the current day, but it's made from a extremely strong story. We'll do the Red Nose Day stuff after this. It's made from a extremely strong story that I think still holds it together all the way through, right? Even though they made quite a lot of, I think, significant mistakes with this adaptation. We're going to go through it episode by episode. But the story, I mean, I think the story is what made the game so incredibly good, and the characters, and they did one. Okay, I'm not going to use the word woke, right? But we're going to have to define it. Woke is an adherence to social media algorithms' current idea of what is moral and what is not, right? So it is moral, and it is not moral to have a show without platforming some form of non-heterosexual relationship, right? That's what woke is. So by that definition, it's woke. Still, through that, the story is very, very, very strong. Pedro Pascal is look. He's got the guardian of youngling things down, right? That's basically his niche he has. I mean, I don't know. I think he's kind of lucked into this. Be honest with you, I think there's probably many actors who could do this thing. He's fine in it. He's very, very good, right? I don't think he was uniquely good, and the casting of this isn't fantastic. I mean, let's face it, he was very safe casting. If you want that kind of maternal, he is the acceptable face of masculinity, right? In the woke world. Again, what is woke? Woke is the mindless adherence to a social media algorithm's idea of what is moral, right? And that's why it changes constantly, right? When people say it's always changing, yeah, and because it says what's moral and what 5 years ago, taking children to a highly explicit sex show, with simulated sex and cross-dressing, and it wouldn't be woke. That would have been weird. Now it's wrong not to. And you can tell these algorithms are kind of run by AI, because it's making like AI type thinking decisions, and it's not like they're secretly taking over. It's more like people are ceding power to them because they're lazy and stupid, right? So that's why things keep getting more extreme. It's because the AI says, "Oh, people like that, so we'll do more of that." So people like that, so we'll do more of that, right? So you have that wokeness again going through a very good story. That's the thing. It's a very good story. Again, it's not wonderfully executed either, right? Rabbi, I know this is all part of your beliefs, but everything beliefs and everything, but you really sound like you just want to see the world burn. Oh, the current world, totally I do. Yeah, what we live in pure evil. Yeah, no, the current world is wrong in every way. I do want to see it burn. That's correct. I would like to see, all good people survive. What was I talking about? We're at 1 minute in real life. I can't remember. This was only a couple of minutes ago. 10 minutes ago. What was I talking about? What is Doomsday? It was announced. Announcement. Noddy returning, and they fired. No, Jodie returning. Fired Catwoman. Yes, that is Doomsday, right? That is true. Fine. Okay, back to what we're talking about. The Last of Us. So, here's the thing. I keep criticizing it. This is why I'm struggling. This is why I'm tumbling over my words, because there's so much to criticize in this, but the towering strength of the story kind of carries it through, right? I don't know how they came up with such a good story, but they really did. The world building is excellent. The zombies are excellent. I mean, they play up the zombie aspect much more in the TV show. It was better in the game. Is this the game Wikipedia I'm looking at, or is this the TV show? Right? TV series. There you go. Fine. The execution of it I found not great. It was somewhat truncated. I think that we had 2 seasons worth of story told over 1 season. It kind of like jumped a lot, and it's desire to be woke, right? We're discussing what woke is. It had 1 misfire and 1 incredibly strong fire, which is really strange. I think Nick Offerman episode is probably one of the best things I've seen on TV, right? I really thought it was a genuinely beautiful love story. I don't really care it was a gay one, because it was a story, right? I liked it being a story. So that's the confusion with The Last of Us. There's a lot of greatness and a lot of like things I'm just not that happy about with it, right? But let's go through it episode by episode. I think that will give us a good overview, right? When you're lost in the darkness, that's episode 1. Is this a double episode? Man, the ratings are infinitesimal, but it went up. Okay, look at that. The ratings went up with time. It's like 0.58, 0.63, 0.74, 0.91. Okay, then it crashed down for endurance survived. People did not like that, and then it went back up again. And then it grew its audience. That's impressive, right? It really did grow its audience. Fine. So episode 1 in 2003, a mass fungal infection of mutated cordyceps that sparks a global pandemic. Yeah. So this is basically shot for shot from the game. 2003. There's weird stuff going on, military everywhere, everything's going crazy. Joel is just back from Desert Storm and trying to survive with his brother and his daughter Ellie. Not Ellie, but clearly Ellie is a substitute for his daughter. Can't remember what it is. Sarah is his daughter, right? So they flee, and at the end of the scene, the sequence, his daughter's killed, right? And that kind of kills something in Joel, right? And then it goes to 20 years later. It's 2023, right? And it's post-apocalyptic. Joel lives in a quarantine zone, QZ, in Boston, managed by the Federal Disaster Response Agency, FEDRA, right? Who are essentially this fascist government. They played that up a lot more from the game to the TV. I don't remember noticing so much in the game, right? You got the feeling that Fedra was a bit dirty, right? But it wasn't really, like, I think, a high point of the game. So he's a smuggler working with partner Tess, played by what's her name, Anna Tove from Fringe. I thought she was great in this. That's the thing. There's so much good in this as well as shit. It's like, pulling against each other. So when somebody fails to, so his brother doesn't contact them from Wyoming. They pay a local dealer, Robert, for a car battery, but he scams them and sells it to the Fireflies, the rebel group opposing Fedra. And again, you get the idea that nobody's really a good guy in this. Attempting to retrieve it, Joe and Tess encounter Marlene, the Fireflies leader. There's a great scene where, and this is a scene that introduced Tess, right? With Anna Tove. She's like being held and beaten in a basement, right? Because like they think that if she let her go, Joel's going to kill them. And she's like, no, look, I'll lie to Joel. It's fine. Just let me go. This is stupid. Right, and she's just talking her way out, and suddenly, boom! The room blows up, and there's fighting going on because basically the world's collapsing. So fine. So they're trying to get their battery back, and they go. They're in the fireplace, and we see there earlier that they're keeping this girl Ellie prisoner there. And it's played by what's the name? Ramsey. Played by what's the name? Where's the cast? Bella Ramsey, right? Bella Ramsey, who's 19 and like very, very woke, right? Very, very adherent to social media algorithms of what is moral and what is not, right? Very adherent to those things. So. And also, look, I like, she doesn't look overly, like, she's not Hollywood star feminine, right? She looks like, you know, a normal girl, but doesn't look like a Hollywood movie star. So she's like, so I think she's being pushed into saying that she's, you know, less female and more fluid because of that. So yeah, she's miscast. So they meet up. They have to take Ellie to Massachusetts safe house in exchange for a working truck, right? They're desperate to get her out. While sneaking her out the QZ, the three run into a soldier on the outside. It's the same soldier that Joel sold pills to earlier. He tests them for infection and reveals that Ellie is positive. Yeah, oh man. So it starts off the first episode like when this kid gets out, wanders in from the post-apocalyptic world. Here, I've got a picture. Wanders in from the post-apocalyptic world, right? Makes it to the QZ, and they come in and they test the kid, and it goes, turns red. They said, "Don't worry, we're just going to give you an injection, right?" And it kills them essentially. But yeah, there's lots of very good post-apocalyptic stuff going on. So Ellie's infected, right? But she's not being turned into a fungus zombie. They have a great introduction, by the way, in the pre-title sequence when it's like a clip from the 70s of from a late night talk show, sort of like intellectual talk show, where they talking about different ways of apocalypses, and the one doctor's saying, "Oh yeah, viral apocalypse. I'm worried about that," and he said, "Oh, I'm worried about this, the fungal apocalypse." So it's that was a great introduction. Look, in terms of TV, it's solid TV. By the time I finished episode 1, which I think was the episodes 1 and 2, I was I thought this was good, reasonably good TV, but I thought the game was far superior. Right, so basically, they decide they got to protect her because she's not turning into a zombie, even though she's infected with the fungal stuff, right? So then, episode 2, 2 days before the worldwide outbreak in Jakarta, in Indonesia, the government shows an infected corpse to a mycologist. They're like, I mean, is fungus really this impossible to destroy? Right? I mean, is it really? I thought you just poured alcohol on it and dried it out and killed it. No? I look, I'm not an expert in this stuff. And they say, yeah, look, it's changed because it can survive in the heat of a human body where it wasn't able to before. And they kind of tacitly link that to global warming. Again, woke. Any adherence to current social media algorithms' idea of what is moral. That really turning into such a great definition. So 2 days before the outbreak, yeah. So we see this is, I think, the initial outbreak, and the idea is, I think the fungus spread through grain, through bread, and it's subtly hinted. Like Joel was supposed to pick up a birthday cake for Sarah in the first episode at the beginning, and he forgot, right? And it's because they didn't have bread; they probably weren't infected. But yeah, that sort of spread too. And there is this fungus that takes control of insects and makes them walk around and do stuff, but nothing like this, right? So anyway, yeah, it's a good pre-title sequence where she sees it and says, "There's nothing we can do, puppy. Yeah, send me home to my family." Right? It says, "Just bomb everything. That's just as much as you can." Clearly not enough. In the present, so she wants. They should have definitely nuked it there. Ellie explains to Joe and Tess that she is being transported west in the hopes of being used to find a cure. Discovering that the path to the state house is swarmed by with infected, I guess it had to go through the state house. They cut through a history museum. Yeah, all this is taken directly from the game. And again, I thought this was all reasonably entertaining. If somewhat standard, reasonably. It wasn't derivative, because I remember this was good storytelling, right? And again, it was good from the game, but we've just seen this so many times before. But I did this is where it's clever, where it does the post-apocalyptic stuff in an interesting way. It's going through the history museum with the two massively infected, they're called clickers. They got lots and lots of fungus all over them. Discovering them, fine. So they have to go through the museum where they're attacked by blind infected known as clickers, and Ellie is bitten. They arrive at the state house and they find the fireflies dead. Tess reveals she was bitten. Right. And so he didn't realize that, but they've been together basically since the beginning of the apocalypse, right? While Ellie's bite begins to heal, proving her immunity. So Joel shoots an infected, which alerts the swarm to the location Yeah, they didn't really pick that up after that. You know, the mycelial roots can like detect over hundreds of miles of where different ones of them are. But they totally like dropped that superpower. I guess there wouldn't be a way of really writing around that. So Tess convinces him that he's got to look after Ellie. Just like Baby Yoda, right? Just like Baby Yoda, you got to look after Ellie. I said, but Baby Yoda's cute. See, the problem with Ellie, the Bella Ramsey casting of Ellie is she's not sweet. In the game, it was a little girl, right? A 14-year-old girl who was just a nice girl, and you wanted, to protect her, right? She plays her much more cunty, right? And I don't think it really helps them at all, right? And I don't think she's as good an actress as the video game, sadly. Anyway, so Tessa is going to take Ellie to their allies in Lincoln, Massachusetts. They got to go to find Nick Offerman. He's going to work out what to do with her. While she stays behind, blowing up the building herself, along with the horde of infected. Okay, so right now, episodes 1 and 2, we got bog standard zombie movie, right? And then we move into episode 3, which I think one of the best hours of TV I've seen in a long time. Genuinely excellent. Here, one second. Let me get up some images. 1 second. Nick Offerman, Last of Us. I think this is a combination of a good story, good script, but Nick Offerman just knocking it out the bloody park with this thing. Like, absolutely fantastic in this. Get some picture of him there. Now, I think one of the reasons this is good is that is that he's not it's all about his big gay love affair, right? But he's not introduced as a gay character. He's introduced as a character, right? And we've had so much really disgraceful tokenism, which I think that's a fair way of describing it. Disgraceful tokenism. That I'm just really sick of it, right? And I couldn't stand it. But in some things. But in this, I think it's this again was a real genuine story. So good for them. Fine. So the Nick Offerman story. Let's read from the Wikipedia. Where am I? There we go. Doink. And now I've lost the screen that I'm broadcasting it. Streaming. I don't want to go there. There you go. The Rabbi moves slightly. I know it's always tricky. It's always tricky. Fine. So long time. Joe and Ellie. And now juxtapose this to episode 7, I think, which is the Ellie's lesbian awakening. That is shit. Right? That is genuine. That is The Last of Us season 1. Brilliant and shit. Brilliant shit and mediocre. It's kind of an interesting combination thing, but with this incredibly strong story running all the way through it. So we're fine. So the long time. So they on their way to meet Bill and Frank. Ellie sees evidence of a government execution of innocents in the early days. Yeah, that's the other thing. Great time jump in this. They see a skeleton of a woman's skeleton and a baby, and then you go back and see the woman before she was shot, right? Because there wasn't enough room for people. Also, while they're walking in this episode, there's like a crash plane. They see she's like, "Wow, I can't believe people used to fly," right? So, so they flash back to the early days of it while that woman's being evacuated. She's soon going to be murdered. And whenever is gone, Nick Offerman comes out, and he's like a survivalist who's got like this hidden chamber, survival bunker. And as soon as everybody's gone, he sets to work getting supplies together to fortify his village, fortify his like block, right, to keep everybody out. And he develops this like quite a nice little life for himself. He's got meat, he's got electricity. He's doing well for himself, right? So then, by 2007, Frank, who ends up being his husband, lover, whatever, stumbles upon Bill, the paranoid survivalist, and who reluctantly takes him in. Says, "Look, I just want a meal. I won't do anything, please." Right? And again, you don't know anybody's gay at this point, right? And it's over the mill, right? With the connect, because it's I think they're both so lonely, right? Certainly, Bill is so lonely, right? And like Joel, not Joel, Frank is, he's eating wine and he's eating steak. It's like they're both close to tears. It's a very emotional moment, and that's how they come out that it's gay. They're gay, and he gently opens up. Nick Offerman gently opens up to him, right, and they get into bed with each other very graphically. But again, maybe it's Nick Offerman's performance that really pulls the whole thing together. It was like shy and nervous. And it's sweet. I mean, it really is. It genuinely is. And again, just a great performance. So then it's really about their life, right? And so then they're meeting up with Tess and Joel, and they're saying, "Look, I don't want to be involved." This is from Frank's influence, right? Frank's like, "We gotta have friends and people. And people are coming over." And Bill's like, "What? No one's coming out. Are you out your mind?" Says, "No, we're having a meal." And basically, so he fires up a relationship. He's got respect for Joel, and he says, "Listen, we can get you some special wire that will be better for your fence. The last 100 years this is going to be useless in about 2 years." And they start something up. So then a few years later, raiders attack them, right? And Bill's got all these like really cool automated defenses set up. Again, this episode is freaking incredible. It's just everything just hits on this episode beautifully. Really, really well done. So it's got all these traps set up to fight off the people, but he's shot, and then Frank is like dragging him in. He's like trying to do surgery and get the bullet out. And Bill's like, "Listen, just cool. You can't survive here on your own. Call Joel, okay? He'll come and look after everything." And he passes out. Then the next thing you know is like more time's gone by and somebody's in a wheelchair. It turns out that Frank's in a wheelchair, and now he's got. No. We have this other scene, right? We have this other great scene after that where they go run, or maybe it's before that. I can't remember. Where they're running and Bill's like really. Out of shape, and Frank's doing better, trying to get Bill in shape. And he said, "Look, I got a surprise for you." And again, I think this was a beautiful fucking scene, right? Where he comes and shows the surprise. He's grown strawberries. It's the first time they had strawberries in about 5-10 years. I don't know. And they're crying, and it just feels genuine. I really like this, right? So then. So it turns out that Frank is old. Frank has got Alzheimer's or something. Oh yeah, not Alzheimer's. Some debilitative disease. I'm not sure which. And he's being looked after by Bill and taking all these pills. And then basically he says, "Listen, if it wasn't the end of the world, I think we'll keep going, but what's the point? There's nobody left." And he says, "I want to, marry you, have a perfect day. You're going to make me dinner. We're gonna, and then you're gonna you're gonna give me wine, and you're gonna fill it with pills, and I'm gonna go to bed and go to sleep, and that'll be it. I'm done, right? And again, such a powerful scene from Nick Offerman, right? Like you see him in a, he's got it. This is because I so relate to this, right? I so relate to his character, like how I would feel in that situation, right? And so they do that. Like they have the perfect day. They make themselves, he makes himself like a dinner, and it turns out that he's also poisoned himself as well, and they die together. And again, look, I'm not a big fan of suicide, right? Suicide pact. In the context of the end of the world, I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. It's fine, right? It's fine. So, stunning episode, absolutely stunning episode. Kind of disgustingly though, it's being held up by woke people as like they're so beautiful just because it's about gay people. No, it's a searing love story with a incredible performance, right? And it's the people just love it because it's about gay people, right? And that's really one of the things wrong in the bloody world today. Fine. So there it goes, gear change, and we're back into like normal territory. But yeah, it actually they're moving too quickly at this point, right? Next, 2 or 3 episodes should have been really taking them to the end of the season. Quite frankly, right? There's a lot of drama here that they just like concertina down, right? So traveling through Missouri, Joe and Ellie turn up at the end of episode 3. And they're going to, and they basically inherit everything, right? And he's like, and they load up the car. They got tons of ammunition, tons of supplies. They're all doing really, really well, and off they go. That lasts for about a minute or so into the second episode. In the next episode, again, this truncated storytelling. Wasn't they should have just let the story play out rather than saying we're going to do the first season's the first game, because I can tell they're itching to get to the second game to legitimize it, and it's not going to work, right? If they do what they did in the second game in the second season and kill Joe off in like the first reel, right? They're over, right? It is over. I mean, season 3 would be pulled if it was already greenlit, right? It's not going to happen. Right, and I don't think David Zaslav would actually let it happen if he knows it's going down. All right, okay, where are we at? So anyway, we start episode 4, and they're minted. They got tons of stuff. They're driving, and they get to this blockage, right, by Missouri, and they have to, and they can't go through the freeway, so they have to go into the town. So yes, we'll just take a cup. We'll be on the freeway in a second, right? But they take some wrong turns and they're ambushed by the bandits. And I kind of like the lo-fi action with it, because again, this worked in the early part of the game because you have to build up with more ammunition. So now you got like single bolt rifles, which is I thought pretty good. And it was again this low creeping, very genuine suspense, right? So now we're into like, the people are the bad guys more than anything else. So where are we up to? Joel kills 2 of the bandits, but a third overpowers him and nearly chokes him to death before Ellie saves him by shooting Frank's pistol. Oh yeah, she took the gun at the end of episode 3 and she hid it. She didn't tell him about it. More bandits find the bodies. Their leader, Kathleen, a real girl boss, a real Karen girl boss. Believes Joe and Elle may be in contract with a man named Henry and orders a manhunt. Right, so we get deep into like this side quest, different like this whole political shenanigery. And again, I think it would have been stronger had they played it out over a longer time, right? Or found some way of connecting it with the Joe and Ellie story more and presaging it somehow. Right, but they didn't. So it just feels disjointed and episodic, right? Even though good, because the story they have behind it of this game is so searingly good, it carries it, right? It absolutely does carry it. So they're looking for Joel, and it says a massive manhunt. Joel counsels Ellie about fire. They have no. So there's also they're not Fedra. They've kind of taken over from Fedra. You don't right. You get a feeling a revolution has just happened, right? And again, had we known more, it probably would have been better. But again, they were just in too much of a rush. So Joel now Joel's starting to open up about Ellie, about the firefight, about having to kill people, and starting to care about her a bit more, right? Which I mean, that's basically the point, the point of the game and point of the story, right? How he gets over his emotional blocks. So what are we up to? We got this massive manhunt going on. And so after the talk about the firefight, he gives her the pistol back and says, keep it in your backpack. Kathleen, second in command, Perry, who is like the psycho dude, thinks he's found Henry's hideout, but something is growing underneath the building. Kathleen orders it's kept secret until they find Henry. So there's a big, like, huge big pussy boil of fungus is about to explode in the building or something like that. It doesn't look good. So then again, I like the world building of this episode as well. When they go to a high rise to sleep, because it's probably one of the safer places. They put glass out so no one's going to find them, and they'll scout away out the city, in the daylight, having lost everything they just gained in the last episode. Was it they awaken to find Henry and his younger brother Sam holding a gun to them. Yeah, so they're the people that they're looking for, right? So now episode 5, we do a little bit of a backtrack and we find out what's going on. Where are we up to? So Henry and Sam make again 2 episodes. This could have been 3 or 4 easily. Henry and Sam make a tentative truce. And Joe and Ellie want to. Sorry. Henry and Sam make a tentative truce, and Joe with Joe and Ellie. Joe wants to part ways, but Henry proposes they escape in the city using the underground tunnels that he knows the way through. Joe hesitantly agrees. Henry confesses to Joe that he was responsible for the death of Kathleen's brother, turning him over to Fedra in exchange for medication for Sam's leukemia. Yeah, this seems a little bit too esoteric for like 20 years after a zombie apocalypse, right? Like, if it's got like I don't think he would have made it that far. Like, how did he survive? I don't know. Ellie and Sam quickly become friends. That's a good bit, right? I did, because they're both the same age. They're like kids, and they got this love of comics going on, which is fun. Yeah, it's so Ellie they become friends. So they escaping through the tunnels. They find a now deserted bunker where people lived, where people survived, and they so this episode called Endure and Survive, where people survived, and eventually they somehow they all got killed. So They go out, through through the tunnels, but on the way out, they're attacked by a sniper. Right, again, it's good to see how Joel sneaks around the back and gets them, and he's in contact with the Kathleen. It's got to call a Karen with Kathleen, and who and so they're coming to get them. And they're rounding up on them, and all of a sudden, as they're about to attack, a huge zombie horde breaks out. Great again. I like the design of the zombies in this. So you get this great scene where Ellie's pinned in a car by a little what's it called again? Fungus zombie guy. And I like the fungus growing out of her face. It looked very good, right? So they make it out by the skin of their teeth. Kathleen is killed by the zombies. And they survive, yay! So they go and hide out, but it turns out that Sam has been bitten on the leg, and Ella's like, no problem, I got safe blood. So she cuts her pad and gives blood, rolls her blood into Sam's wound, and says, will you stay awake with me? Sure. Next thing you know, it's the morning, and she's asleep, and she's waking up, and Sam's in there sitting on the bed. Has he turned? Yes, he is. He tries to kill her. And then Joel... Joel's about to kill him, but what's that? Henry won't let it happen, right? But he's like, no, and eventually he shoots his brother, right? Shoots Sam, and now he's so traumatized, right? He doesn't know what to do, and he puts his gun to it and just shoots himself, right? Because he sacrificed everything to save his brother. Now he just shot his brother, right? It is a little bit dark. So yeah, again, I bit of a pacing problem with this one. The episode 6, Kin. Right, is this the anti-Christian one? Yes, probably. Again, is it woke? Yes. Does it adhere to current social media algorithms about what is and what is not moral? Yes. So therefore, it is woke, right? That is the definition of woke. By jiggery. Does that definition work, right? It just totally, absolutely works. I just looked at my stats for Rumble. If you're on Rumble, can you hit the subscribe button? My stats are so crazily higher. It's just bizarre how much better they're doing on Rumble. Anyway, where are we up to? We're up to episode Kin, right? Fine. So Kin, it's 3 months after Henry and Sam's death, and Joe and Ellie reach a small, thriving community in Jackson, Wyoming, where Joe is reunited with Tommy. Yeah, they should have just stayed there. Whose wife is pregnant with Maria is pregnant, and he says he wasn't allowed to speak because he wasn't allowed to let anybody know about this. Ellie learns about Sarah's fate from who's Sarah? From Maria. Joe, who's Sarah? Ellie learns about Sarah's fate. Oh, from Maria. Fine. Sarah was Joel's daughter, right? And then Joel's warming up, a bit more with each episode. Ellie overhears so he wants to Joe asks Tommy to take Ellie to the Fireflies as he's afraid he cannot keep her safe. So Ellie's pissed off by that. She overhears and confronts him. Joel, who insists they will part ways. Joel changes his mind after remembering Sarah, and he and Ellie travel to Colorado on horseback to find the Fireflies, and that they but they vacated their medical base in the school, right? Possibly relocated to Utah. Joe and Ellie attempt to escape, but they're caught by a group of raiders. Joe is hurt, they're killed, and they manage to get away. And Joel's close to death, right? So left behind is this is the annoying Ellie's lesbian awakening episode. So Joel's nearly dead. He's unconscious, in a basement. And meanwhile, the people, the friends of the raiders that attacked them and nearly killed them, are looking for them. And there's a manhunt going on. So they're hiding out, and he's he's got blood, exploding out of him. She doesn't think he's going to survive. Covers him with a blanket and starts to go. Then she thinks back, right? Thinks back to, I remember when I was a lesbian. In Federal military school, she was with her best friend Riley. This is also introduced a big black woman in the next episode, in next season, that she can be her girlfriend, right? Who was a big black girl, which that's in every is it woke? Yes, that's follow social media algorithms of idea of what morality is currently. So she calls this fight with the peers, but the guy in charge, the commandant. I'm not sure if this is a bit of anti-Asian hate because the commandant's in charge, right? But it felt kind of like that. He said, "Listen, you're smart. You can be an officer, or you're just going to be a grunt. you know, like, you know, you can be cleaning latrines, or you're gonna, yeah, what you want, right? Just keep your head down. You can totally be an officer, right? So she's been off the rails since her roommate left. Again, the giant black woman. And then at night, the giant black woman sneaks back and says, "Listen, I joined the Fireflies, but I want you to come away with me just for one night, one magical night." And so she takes her to an arcade that's just been reconnected up with power that nobody knows about, and so it's all closed off, and basically everything's fine. They have a magical night together where what's her name, Bella Ramsey, clearly keeps playing it like she's very, very, very horny for her roommate. It was just not very subtle, right? Finally, after they fall out, they get back together and they kiss magically. They're attacked by zombies. They're both eaten, bitten. They think they're both going to die, and obviously she doesn't, and the other one does, and she has to kill her. Oh, it's so sad. Oh, God, it was just shit. I'm sorry, that episode was shit. So yeah, now we're going back to the Christian hatred, right? Oh, wait. At the end of the episode, she decided, I'm not going to leave him. And she goes back and finds a needle and thread and starts sewing up his wound, right? And she decides to try and save him, right? So Ellie goes to hunt for food, right? And she manages to get a deer, but there's a weird town of preacher with a preacher in charge, and they're it seems a bit weird, this weird town, right? And things seem a bit fishy there. We don't know what. They're all starving, and he's violent, but he's not. I don't know. Anyway, so she manages to shoot a deer, and they find and it says, "I'll tell you what, we'll trade you half the deer because they're starving, for penicillin." So he says, "Go back and get the penicillin," to the guy who's with them. Well, where are we up to? So she gets a penicillin. She trades the deer for penicillin. David recalls the man who stabbed Joel was a member of his group. Ellie, so they're all pissed off that he's dead, and they want revenge. Ellie leaves to treat Joel. The next day, she's going with David and his men, have followed her back to seek vengeance on Joel. She flees to draw them away, but is captured. At David's camp, he revealed to be his feet. Yeah, again, too bloody quickly. This is honestly, this whole plot line could have been a half a season. I think they should have done episode 6 onwards for season 2, right? They could have done a lot more, and it's just too truncated. They're too interested in being woke. It's just what it is. Where are we up to? So she gives him the penicillin, and he starts to recover. And then she's captured. But it turns out they're eating human flesh. These are bad people. These aren't preachers at all. And that's why they all look so sickly. Meanwhile, Joel awakens and tortures some of David's men to finding out where Ella's camp is. He reveals that he's been feeding his friends human flesh. Joel awakens. I just read that. David and James attempt to kill Ellie, but she kills James and escapes. David hunts her down and tries to. Oh yeah, he wants to. Yeah, just add it in. He's also going to rape her, which is like, oh, it was too much, right? But she overpowers him and kills him with a meat cleaver. Joel finds a traumatized Ellie outside the cult, but why couldn't he have saved her? Like, it's just annoying. It was genuinely annoying. And after that, they love each other so much, right? Now they're all lovey-dovey, right? They're completely, again, just too quickly, right? It's just, the pacing is wrong. So then we get the final episode, the controversial final episode. We have a flashback to Ellie being born and her mother, and she's bitten during childbirth, and then she gives the baby as a friend to the woman who's in charge of the Fireflies we saw in the first episode, right? So that's where they basically get her to them, and Joel wakens in hospital, and she explains the doctors are prepping Eddie for surgery. They're very, very hopeful that they can develop a cure, and how they're going to do it is they're going to get the fungus out of. What happens is, because she was being born as she was being infected, she gives out a chemical which tells the fungus not to do anything. Right, so if they go into the fungus in her, they can get that chemical, they can duplicate it, and it's a cure for the entire world. Right, they can literally end everything. So, but wait a minute, cordyceps just grow in the brain. So yeah, that's true. So they got to dissect her brain. Joel, not so. So again, interesting moral quandary, right? I would say somewhat brilliant to be honest, because again, the strength of the storytelling is just very, very, very strong. I mean, it's just the bottom line. It's very, very strong. And Joel's like nothing, and he goes on a one-man killing spree to save Ellie, right? And eventually they get back to Jackson, where Tommy, his brother, is, where they're going to settle down. And she says, "Okay, just swear to me the story about the Fireflies is true." Right? Says, "Oh, anyway, Joel Eisen tells her that her Fireflies had already failed to develop a cure from other immune people. Right? Just said it wasn't going to work. He didn't mention that he murdered everybody. Right? And so as they reach, says, "Okay, I'll go with you, but just promise you weren't lying." Right? The whole thing is talking about Fireflies is true. It says, "Okay." So again, lots of interesting moral ambiguity, great storytelling, good characters. Terrible pacing, horrible, some horrible casting. It's been 84 years. Ellie in guess. I don't understand what that means. But some horrible. I think Bella Ramsey was the wrong choice, but still, look, I think even through its horrible mismanagement, it managed to make when you add it up, an okay season of television, right? Bits of brilliance, bits of awfulness, and mostly average, right? But the average at least was based on something of sheer brilliance, right? The Nick Offerman episodes lifts us up. It just does. It's fantastic. Everything else, I don't know. I've not much hopes for the second season whatsoever. This is not something I would recommend getting HBO Max for. I still think playing the game is a much more enjoyable experience. I really genuinely do. I think it tells the story better, and the pacing is better, right? I think the whole thing is better in the game. Okay, that's my take on it. My name's Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.